What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro, welcome back. So we are back with another Uncrowned Kings local metagame report video that will cover tournament reports and decklist reviews for the past 2 weeks on this October format. So we have October 19 to October 30. So 2 week span of different decklists and different interesting deck profiles that we are going to see on this video. So without further ado, let's start. At first here we have Yu-Gi-Oh! LU. We have first runner-up Tearlaments with Horus and Visas. So this is the latest advancement of the Tearlaments and Tearlaments players' coping mechanism on making Tearlaments relevant up until this format. We already have known that Tearlaments have suffered a lot of different hits on the ban list recently and previously. That's why most players are not really inclined on playing Tearlaments, but there are still a handful of players like Miloleo that are still playing Tearlaments and coping with different strategies to make the Tearlaments still viable up until this date. So yeah, this Tearlaments plays the Horus engine that can turbo out the Zombie Vampire, which is very beneficial for the Tearlaments so that they can mill their cards. And also the Visas also gives this deck a ceiling and much needed ceiling because Tearlaments have lost a very considerable amount of the power of the deck. That's why you need other engines to be able to compete on the format right now. So yeah, a very interesting deck is here from Miloleo. Moving on, we have Duelo Iloilo. At first here we have Uriel Dolorfino with Drytron. So Drytron saw representations on the metagame tier list on the OCG, particularly in Japan on the past second week and first week of October. And I really didn't anticipate that, to be honest. And most people really didn't know how Drytron have been tapping recently. But yeah, Drytron are seeing taps recently because maybe people have ditched their Dark Lure No More and Forbidden Droplet. They don't really respect the Omni Negates of the today's deck right now. That's why Drytron have been left unchecked. But this is a different take on Drytron. It plays the Orsartic engine, which is very good on drawing cards for the deck. And also, this deck can, I think, go second and pretty much win the game from there because he's playing Droplet and other stuff on the main deck. And he also plays Vanity Ruler, so the going first of this deck is pretty solid too. And then moving on, we have Gymkat, Trap Tricks. So a very diverse take on Trap Tricks. It plays the Evenly Matched and Nibiru so that it can supplement the going second of the deck, while the side deck is pretty much focused on going first as well. We have the Anti-Spell Fragrance and Torrential Tribute that is very strong when going first using this trap trick. And then next, we have Dynamorphia. So I really think that Dynamorphia is a very strong deck, but most people are discouraged on playing Dynamorphia because of the time rules, of course, because time rules are very hefty for this deck. I pretty much think that Dynamorphia would instantly lose on a very longer game state. That's why most people are not inclined on playing Dynamorphia. But this is a very strong deck when going first. It can also stun the opponent, and it has a lot of quirky cards on the deck. We have Ferret Flames, which is very absurd, especially against Purely, and also cards like Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment, which are very strong when going first. So yeah, moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Davao Mindanao Gaming. At first here we have Gloy J Del Puerto with Fire King. So Fire King are seeing a success on the recent weeks of October format. Especially this deck got buff from the Phantom Nightmare because it got the Prisoner Princess, and also most Fire King players are innovating the Snake Eye engine on the deck to make the deck more explosive and more resilient. So yeah, this is a very strong deck right now. Probably the second best deck for me on the OCG aside from Rescue Ace. So this decklist is quite hand trap oriented. It plays a lot of hand traps. We have 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Maxi, 3 Wailer, 2 Bell, and 2 Nibiru, which are very good on dealing against the format, like the Nibiru for the Pendulum Magician and the Wailers for the Purely and Rescue Ace and Ghost Bell for Labyrinth. So this is very really well built structure on the main deck of Cloygel de Puerto. And also Dark Hole on the side deck, that is pretty interesting because you also benefit from getting destroyed on your monsters on your side of the field. That's why he opted to play Dark Hole, but it's really unconventional, to be honest. And then next we have Labyrinth from Vince Paulo. the Gala. So this is the Arias version of the Labyrinth. It plays the Arias on the deck, and it can also turbo out something like the Daruma Cannon and the Trap Trick and also Dimensional Barrier, which are very strong on dealing against the format. We have Pendulum Magician that can be easily affected by the Dimensional Barrier, and also purely would auto lose against this card because they are streamlined into XYZ summoning. That's why this is very good on Labyrinth right now. And also the side deck is pretty much focused on going first. He has IDP on the side deck, which are very strong on some of the rogue decks right now in the format. We also have the Appointer of Red Lotus, which is insanely strong when going first for the Labyrinth. Then moving on, we have Scareclaw Horse Adventure from Alfred Zamora. So this is his signature deck, and I'm not really surprised on seeing his decks tapping on their locals because he is a very titled player on the Mindanao. So it's no surprise for me to be able to see Scareclaw tapping on Mindanao. And I do think that this deck is very tricky to deal against. Most people are not prepared on dealing against Scareclaw, and a lot of people also have no idea how destructive this deck can be, especially if they don't know what to interrupt and what to expect on going against the board of Scareclaw. So this is a very nice deck from Alfred Zamora. And then moving on, we have Vanquish Shoal Dogmatica. This is very spicy. It plays the Nadir Servant. It also gives some urgency for the going second of this deck, and can also supplement the going first of the Vanquish Shoal because it plays the Ecclesia and the Dogmatica Punishment. So they have extra interruptions when going first if they have drawn the Ecclesia and the Dogmatica Engine. And also Nadir Servant can be very good on going second. You can always dump your Elder Entity entities using the Nadir Servant, which can destroy boards of the opponent. So yeah, this is a very interesting innovation from Art Villanueva. And then moving on, we have Ian Christopher. We have Fire King, another Fire King, but this time with the Parallel Exceed. So you can link climb better on this deck. You can already tell on his extra deck, he plays the Nightmare Unicorn and the Celine and Access Code package. So he can OTK better on this deck list. And also, it is very worth noting that he plays Floodgate Trap Hole on the deck. This can surprise many people, which is very unlikely to expect right now that persons who are playing the Floodgate Trap Hole on the main deck. Is pretty funny, to be honest. And then we have Live Twin Sprite. So this deck is not really represented right now on the format. I rarely see Evil Twin and Sprite taps recently, but I do think that this deck is very good. It plays the Artifact site, which can instantly win your game if you can pop the site using this Live Twin. So yeah, this is a very interesting list from Daniel. And then next we have Carl Patrick Chong. We have Ignister Matmech. So this is also a very good deck right now. On the first and second week of October, Matmech Ignister have been seeing tier 3 shoutouts on the metagame tier list from Japan. So I assume this deck is quite good right now on the format. And also, this deck is pretty consistent, no? It plays the Cynet Mining and Small World. So I don't think that this deck can break on hard matchups or tournaments. So yeah, this is pretty consistent for me. And also on the side deck, it plays the Book of Eclipse. So I really don't know why Eclipse is played here. Maybe because you are not afraid of the drawback of the draw from the Eclipse, because this deck can instantly OTK the opponent using the link climbing mechanics of the Ignister and Matmech, which can go into Splash Mage and the Access Code Talker with Object Jammer. So yeah, this is very strong. And then next we have Sky Striker, so another unusual list here. Before, we have been seeing Adventure Sky Striker that are tapping on the Japan tournaments, but now they have reverted back towards the standard and more slower tempoed Sky Striker deck build. Maybe because Adventure is not enough to be able to suppress the meta decks right now and to add the much needed ceiling for the Sky Striker. So that's why players are often to resort back to the hand trap oriented version of Sky Striker with the draw power of Upstart and Desires. So yeah, and I also think that this deck will only get better because it will receive some new support that is coming very soon on the OCG from the manga structure OCG structures. And then moving on, we have Katatan Yu-Gi-Oh! Fire King Diable Star featuring Snake Eye Populous 8-0. So this is a massive topping deck list here. So this is very interesting because this is the thing that I am saying earlier with the Populous on the main deck coming from the Snake Eye engine. So yeah, the only downside of this deck is, of course, this is much more expensive, with the Bonfire being really a pricey card right now. But yeah, look at this deck. From the first glance, you can already tell that this deck is very consistent and can able to bring out the best turn 1 and going second right now in the format, because this deck can simultaneously pop cards on the field, and also the Snake Eyes gives the much needed resiliency towards the Fire King to be able to unlock the fullest potential of Fire King right now on the format, paired with Sinful Spoils, which can give extra consistency on the deck. So this is very good right now. So like I have said earlier, this is the second best deck for me on the OCG format. So just by looking at the extra deck, he is pretty much prepared on dealing against Pendulum Magician with the Nibiru and Dimensional Barrier, which can be good against Pen Magi and Purely, and also the Ghost Bell, which is very much needed right now on the format to be able to answer the Labyrinth, of course, which by the way got powerful as well because of the new card from the Phantom Nightmare, the Rumple Twofold, which gave the Labyrinth more access towards stunning their opponent and winning the game from the resolving of Rumple Twofold. And then next we have Devil Slayer YGO. At first here we have Dino with Polymerization on the deck. Very interesting 51 card main deck Dino, quite extensive, but yeah, I don't see this deck is lacking anything rather than the consistency issues of being a 51 card deck. You have Rivalry to go first and stun your opponent. You have Trust and Talents to go second because it is quite good on the format, because the format is quite mid-range oriented. There's a lot of hand traps on the format like Ghost Bell and Veiler and Mourner. So yeah, Talents and Trust are very essential here right now on the Dino, being a combo deck. And the next we have Fire King, another Fire King. So we can already see how Fire King are developing on the October format. Most people are playing Fire King right now. Not only that, it is a budget deck, no? Because you just have to buy the 3 structure decks and buy the Diable Star engine to make the deck more powerful. The deck has everything needed to be able to compete right now. It has a decent going first. It can go second as well. And it has a lot of tools on the extra deck. You can use the Super Poly to have Madragon and Garura on your extra deck. And also you have things like SP Little Knight and IP Masquerena sometimes. And also the Dagda package here, which is very insane on going first to be able to pop the Artifact Site as well. And also the Hita Charmer, which is very strong right now on a format where Fire King and Rescue Ace is very prevalent on the format. So yeah, this deck is very good right now. And moving on, we have Rescue Ace. So this is also the fire deck right now that are reigning on the format. So on this list, there's not much anomaly on this list. This is a very standard Rescue Ace list. Only 2 Fire Hydrant now, because you really don't need the third copy, to be honest. You only need that on grind games. But now I do think that 2 copies of Hydrant is the correct ratio for the Rescue Ace. And then moving on, we have Paducah weekly tournament. At first here we have Mikanko. So this deck won the YCS tournament on the TCG recently. So I do think that this deck would get more popular as the time went by, because of the influence of the TCG format, of course, over the OCG format, especially on Eastern Asia regions that are very much influenced by the Western media. So yeah, this deck is very strong right now in the format. This is one of the decks that can comfortably go second and dominate games using this Mikanko that can OTK easy on this list, and also paired with Nadir Servant and Maximus, which can be very good on going first and going second as well, which is gives dimension and flexibility towards this Mikanko. And next, we have the usual runic stun with 3 border and 3 maxi on the main deck. You can never go wrong with that runic right now because you can just pester and annoy many people using this deck. And then next, we have Fire King, no? So with Fire Barrier State U on the main deck, which is very unusual. I don't think I would rate this variant of Rescue Ace right now because there's a lot of fire decks right now, especially Fire Kings, which are very represented on the format right now. But on the flip side, you have a lot of decks like Labyrinth and also Purely, which would struggle against the Fire Barrier State U. So yeah, this is a very interesting list of Rescue Ace. And then moving on, we have Velocity Hobby Center ranking tournament. At first here, we have Invoke Dogmatica, Sinful Spoils. So this deck is insanely strong as well, but I do think that it would be better if it is playing the Maximus engine and the Winda, because you get so much value from the Winda. You stun your opponents, you floodgate them, and you basically win the game for free by just summoning the Winda using the Schism. But this list would be focused on having utilities rather than dominating the game 1, because it plays a lot of hand traps like Nibiru, Droll, and Lockbird, Mourner, and also it doesn't play the Maximus. So yeah, it doesn't quite break often on this list. And then next, we have Branded Chimera, yeah, with Shadal Engine. So this is one of the better fusion decks that you can play right now on the format, which is very explosive, by the way. I know this deck is really popular on the TCG, and a lot of TCG friends of mine are using it right now, like Mark Angelo Giao. So yeah, this deck is pretty decent, to be honest. I think this deck is able to perform because most people are not really prepared on dealing against this deck. Most people doesn't have the knowledge to counter this deck as well. And yeah, I think that this deck would really surprise people out of nowhere if they don't have faced this deck yet on tournaments. And then moving on, we have Headquarter Hobbies and Card Games ranking duel. At first here, we have another Fire King. So yeah, Fire King has been popping off lately on the meta game. As we can see, there's a lot of Fire King, and we could really argue that this probably could be the best deck right now on the OCG format. And yeah, I think it's really unavoidable because Fire King got their support from the new set of Phantom Nightmare, and also Fire King is pretty much required on joining the Fire Attribute event on the OCG format. That's why I think it's one of the main reasons why Fire King have been picked up by many people, and they are just decided on playing the deck to not lose so much resource on buying those structure decks. And then next, we have Mannadium. So Mannadium is the cousin of the Centurion right now, which is able to turbo out the Calamity, but this list doesn't play the Calamity, no? So it plays much more distinct version of the, what do you call this? The Mannadium, because it plays negation monsters like the Barone and the Apollousa. And also, I think this deck would focus more on negation and interruptions rather than turn skipping mechanic of Calamity. The side deck is pretty much unusual, no? It plays the Phantasmi and the Bestials. Bestials are falling off from the metagame because Tearlaments have vanished from the metagame. There's not much use of the Bestials right now, except for branded matchups and Labyrinth as well, and also doable against Dragon Link. But yeah, Phantasmi is quite revelation on side deck of many people right now, because you can use this card against the Rescue Ace, which is dropping the Synchro build on the extra deck. They are now focused on Link summoning with the Prometheus or the Prisoner Princess on the extra deck. They are now inclined on playing the Link variant. That's why I do think that Phantasmi is very good right now on the format, especially to boost the consistency of your deck. And then next, we have Rescue Ace here with Enemy Controller on the side deck. This is very interesting. I know that this card would be used on Rescue Ace to be able to do going second comfortably, because you can dodge targeting negations and everything that can annihilate your Turbulence or your Hydrant on this list. So yeah, Enemy Controller is very tactful here, and it can really surprise if not predicted by many people that are going to face this deck. And also Forbidden Droplet can be good against Pendulum Magician and other combo decks on the locals or the format right now. So yeah, I do think that this is a very interesting side deck option and innovation from Andri Kurnia. And the next one, we have another rescue from Raharjo. So this time with the Synchro package. So like I have been saying earlier, there are still rescue players that are playing the Synchro build on the extra deck because it offers protection on the board of Rescue Ace. It protects your back row from Lightning Storm, Dusters, and Evenly Match, and also has the higher ceiling when going first because you have a lot of tools to work around and negations on your board like Dragster, Savage, and Barone. And then moving on, we have Nabil, Fire King. So I think it's the list from earlier. Yeah, it's the list from earlier. The next we have Duelist Ding Dong, ranking duel at 2 Stompas. We have another Rescue Ace here. So Fire King and Rescue Ace, those two fire decks are really tearing it up right now on the OCG format. And I think that they are safely the two best decks right now on the remainder of October format, no? This deck is very consistent on starting their plays. They can have a very considerable and considerable board that can able to stop many people from the trap cards of Rescue Ace, which is able to interrupt them. And also Emergency is very insane as well. So yeah, I do think that Rescue Ace would be popping off on the following weeks as well, but I do think that Fire King have a chance to dethrone them as the best deck on the format right now. And the next we have Mechanco, another Mechanco. So we can already tell that Mechanco have been doing great recently on the OCG. And also this side deck is very interesting. It plays DD Crow and Retaliating C, if I'm correct, or Contact C. I'm really confused on those two C's right now. But DD Crow, yeah, it can be good against something like the Purely, and can also be decent against Labyrinth. But I really don't rate DD Crow right now on the format. Maybe if their locals are still playing Tier Elements, you can do the DD Crow, but I don't see that much value on playing DD Crow right now. And the next we have another Runic, this time with Dimensional Fissure on the main deck, which is very strong on against Fire King because this is a anti-graveyard mechanic on the deck and can be good against Tier Elements as well and other graveyard decks, something like Unchained. So yeah, this is a very innovative deck list of Runic, and also plays the Artifact Lancea, which is insanely strong against Rescue Ace because Rescue Ace needs to banish cards to pop off their Turbulence. So this is very good right now on the format, having Lancea in your arsenal to counter the Rescue Ace. And next we have Pendulum Magician. So this time with Gamma on the main deck. I think Gamma can really surprise people. If your opponent doesn't really expect the Gamma, they would get really surprised by this Gamma right now. And this is one of the notable things that you are going to measure when you are going against Pendulum Magician, whether if they are playing Gamma. This is very crucial information for the Pendulum matchup right now. And the next we have another Fire King. So I think it's the Fire King from earlier, no? And then moving on, we have Counterclock Yu-Gi-Oh! Weekly Tournament. At first here we have Horus with rank 8 Axis. So an OTK deck basically. So it plays the Lightning Storm, the Forbidden Droplet, the Luna, which are very strong when going second. So I do think that this deck just aims to turbo out the best rank 8 monsters as possible on the game. And if your opponents lets you go first, you just set up an Apollousa or IP Masquerena that can go into SP Little Knight. So yeah, this is a very linear deck, but it can really damage some players right now on the format because this is very unpredictable. Most people are just focused on dealing against the going first decks rather than the going second, which is very unusual right now. Then Goodness Gracious, look at this, it's playing Horus Blue Eyes. I'm really surprised on seeing Blue Eyes, to be honest, but we can safely bet that Blue Eyes would get better because they have a new structure deck coming up soon. On the OCG, we have the Asian English version of the Blue Eyes structure deck from Kaiba. So I assume that this deck would get better if they got the correct support to supplement the Blue Eyes. I mean, when is the last time that we have seen Blue Eyes relevant? No, I think it's been roughly 10 years already. No, it's been 8 or 9 years already. So yeah, I really predict that Blue Eyes could shine if they would get the proper support. But I think Konami would push the agenda of making Blue Eyes relevant on the format, because there's a lot of people that are a fan of Blue Eyes, and it would encourage the casual players and also the old generation players to go back into the game if they have been stopped on playing the game recently. So yeah, I think it could spark ignition against their hearts on playing their Blue Eyes deck or Dark Magician deck as well on the new support from the Asian English version of Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. So looking back on this deck list, this is very interesting. I'm really not sure why it have top on the tournament. Maybe because people are not prepared on dealing against Blue Eyes with this the Azure and the rank 8 shenanigans of the Blue Eyes using the Horus. So yeah, this is very interesting. And then next we have North Celebes card game weekly tournament. At first here we have Henry Tearlaments. So this is the second Tearlaments that we are seeing on this metagame report. So we can already safely tell that Tearlaments is still viable. It is not dead right now on the format, because many people are still tapping using Tearlaments, and there's a way and there's a path where Tearlaments can still perform on the format right now using the Horus and Visas, of course. And the next we have a Virtual World with 1. So it doesn't play the transaction rollback in the Mayakashi trap, no? So this is a more standard and older version of Virtual World that aims to summon the Ultima Zolkin and can go out into something like Kaliga, which can definitely be very strong when going first. And the next we have Dino here with Transcendosaurus. So it plays the 2 level vanilla dinosaurs on the deck. It plays the level 4 Earth and I don't think it's rank level 6 water dinosaur. So yeah, with Transcendosaurus, dinosaurs adds more complexity on the deck and also more passage to combo plays on this list. So I think that Transcendosaurus adds more ceiling and gas towards the dino, but it also suffers really bad against the Maxi, of course. And the next we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame Malang Tournament Report. We have first place here, we have Horus Chimera. So this is the more played version of Chimera right now paired with Horus, because it is more resilient. It can have more options. It plays the Dark Barrier Statue, which can stun a lot of decks right now. Fire King and Rescue Ace and something like other rogue decks would really struggle against this deck and the Statue of Dark right now on the format. And also plays the Wanghu Tiger, which is very accessible on this deck and can really definitely shake up a lot of decks right now on the format. And also plays the Phantasmi. I think it's a good side deck option right now and decent on the side deck right now on the format. And the next we have another Dino, Transcendosaurus Dino, no? So Dino are pretty decent right now. I think it is one of the most capable combo decks right now to be able to suppress the many meta decks on the format by bringing out the best possible board on the format when going first. And the next we have Adventure Horus with a lot of stun cards. We have the Barrier Statue of Water, we have the Fossil Dino, we have the Amano Iwato and the Raiou. So this is a control version of Horus paired with Adventure, which can really surprise people. Using the Draco back, it can bounce cards using the Adventure package, and also this deck would sit on Horus and their beat sticks on this deck. And the next we have Pendulum Magician from Hawin Purnama. So this plays the Avian, no? Most people have been ditching the Avian recently on their Pendulum Magician decks, but yeah, this player opted to use the Avian because it adds negation on their board when going first, and also gives them extra protection from board wiping cards and other negation cards like Imperm. So yeah, this is also very good on the Pendulum Magician. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Indonesia ranking tournament from Ogre Bogor. We have the champion of the tournament. We have another Fire King. So as we can see on this browsing of our tournament reports, Fire King is one of the most represented deck on the Indonesia region right now. I do think that it's really popular on that country right now, and also in the Philippines. We have been seeing a lot of Fire King taps recently, especially to Martin Owen Kaleha on winning the Campus League recently in the Philippines. He have used the Fire King on that tournament and won the tournament undefeated, if I'm correct, no? So yeah, this is a really capable deck right now on the format. The funny thing on this side deck is it plays the There Can Be Only One, which can be a good tool when going first, and also plays the Skill Drain on the main deck, which boosts the going first mechanic of this Fire King to be able to sit around high attack monsters and just beat down their opponents from the get-go. And also we have Dino here, so I really lost count on which Dino list is already here. On our format, I think it's been 3 or 4 Dinos already. So yeah, Dino is pretty popular as well on the format right now. And it plays the Super Poly package, and they have been side decking the Garura and the Madragon on this list. And the next, we have the good old Eldritch on this tournament report. Look at the continuous floodgates on this list. We have 2 Rivalry, 3 There Can Be Only One, 2 Power Sink Stone, 3 Mistake, 2 Summon Limit, 1 Skill Drain, 3 Apophis. And also, this deck is pretty well built, no? It has the options of playing Ghost Ogre and Ash Blossom when this deck went second. I do think that, although Eldritch is a very strong deck when going first, considering that it plays a lot of floodgates on the format, it can really struggle when going second. That's why he opted to play Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre. But for me, I would just replace this with a much more win more card like Evenly Match that is able to destroy boards or annihilate board setup right now on the format. But looking at the decklist here, it can really dominate games when going first. Just looking at the border, it can really stun many people. And also on the side deck, doesn't stop the continuous floodgates. It even plays Goes and Match on the side deck, and I think it's the correct option right now for this player, because Goes and Match is pretty much weak against the Fire King and Rescue Ace. That's why I think it is only a side deck option right now. And the next, we have Rescue Ace with the stun version of this deck, no? It plays the Gigantic Sprite on the extra deck and only 14 cards on that extra deck as well. So it plays the Eyeball Lock Ibli or Eyeball Lock on the main deck, which is very surprising. Most Rescue Ace players are not playing this version of this Rescue Ace. And also on the side deck, it plays the Book of Moon, which can be very good on facing against hand trap decks and mid-range decks on the format, like Fire King and the mirror match of Rescue Ace, and against Purely as well. It plays protection to resolve your turbulence better. And next, we have Mola Hobby Shop tournament. We have Phantom Knights, Horus Adventure. So this deck also got a little bit toned down, no? Because it lost the Rongo, of course. The ban list really hit the Rongo, and Phantom Knights lost some of their valuable card on this Phantom Knight strategy. But yeah, I think this is a still competent deck on the format. It plays the Horus, which can give them access towards the discarding mechanics of the Phantom Knights using this Horus, which can use the Phantom Knights as discard fathers, and also the Adventurer, which is also good when being discarded. And also it has access to Zombie Vampire, 2 mill cards on these Phantom Knights to pitch down your Phantom Knights monsters. And also Photon Lord gives a massive protection and negation on the board of this deck. And the next, we have Earth Good Stuff, no? 59 card Earth Good Stuff. So yeah, I couldn't really say a lot of things on this deck because this deck has everything. It's really hard to counter this deck when going second, because this deck can steamroll everything and everyone on the format, because this is a very explosive deck. when it starts rolling, you don't really have the window to suffocate this deck. So this is a very good deck when going first. But yeah, it really hardly loses to Maxi, except if they opted to deck you out, which I have seen on Taiwanese tournaments with Wang Chaching, the 2018 world champion, are playing the Earth Good Stuff, and his opponent used Maxi against him, and he just breeze walk against the opponent by just decking out him. So yeah, it's really insane. And yeah, I think this deck is really powerful if they don't know what to entrap against this deck. And the next we have Rescues, no? So this time place the 2 talents on the side deck, which can be good on dealing against hand trap decks like I have said earlier. We have a mid-range oriented format, so talents would really be valuable on your hand card. And next we have the Fire King with the Snake Eyes engine. This time without the Populous. I think it's from before. The tournament on October 2023 doesn't have the Phantom Nightmare yet. So yeah, I think this is a really strong deck. Moving on towards the October format, I think we would see more Fire King lists. And the next we have a card tournament. We also have a 40 card Earth Good Stuff or Adamantipator. It plays the Sekka Light, so it is a less explosive version of Adamantipator or Earth Good Stuff, but I couldn't really tell how little that impacts the overall ceiling and explosiveness of this deck, because this deck can really summon out the best boss monsters on the game. We have Natura Beast that can instantly win you games against Purely and Runic, and also we have Colossus, which is insanely strong against Purely as well. And you have Dragite to negate spell and traps, and you have Apollousa and IP Masquerena, which is very generic on bringing out negations on your board. So yeah, this is a really nice list. The really spicy thing here is the Dogwood on the side deck, because most people doesn't have that much counters on explosive decks right now. You can interrupt the Pendulum Magicians and this the Earth Good Stuff and other things like Dragon Link, but it doesn't really silver bullet them or stop them on the get-go. You have to carefully assimilate their line of play to really call the correct hand trap scenario or the correct hand trap moment that you can do against them. That's why some players are resorted on playing the Dogwood to just use this card to nullify their explosiveness, because you would win in time using this card because of the gain LP mechanic. And the next we have Branded here. So this time Branded 40 card version plays the Bestial, 2 Saronir and 1 Lubellion, and the Druisworm and Magnumut. I think it's very standard. And it also plays the Branded Expulsion. I do think that it plays the Gimmick Puppet, but on the side deck only. And I think that Branded is still a very decent deck, but it's not up to par to the consistency level and resiliency level of Rescue Ace and Fire King right now. And the next we have Punk Gold Pride, no? So this is also pretty new to the OCG, because we just recently had the World Premier Pack that contains the Gold Pride. So this is a very interesting deck, and I don't really know how this deck functions, to be honest, except for the fact that Punk can give a line of plays towards the Gold Pride. But yeah, I don't think it's really competitive on the modern Yu-Gi-Oh right now on this October format. But I think it's a nice rogue option to play, to be able to surprise people and just play the game that you love right now. And the next we have Gen Raider, no? So this deck is also tricky to deal against. If this deck can snowball out of control, you would instantly lose against this deck. And also this deck has a lot of win more scenarios, which can give them massive advantages if they can resolve their cards properly on this list. The side deck is pretty much diverse. It plays the Necro Valley to go first and stun decks that are graveyard reliant, and also has tools to go first, like the Ruma Cannon and D-Barrier and a Pointer, which can be accessible by Trust, of course. And also Raigeki, which is a very unpopular side deck option right now, but can be good against decks without Omni-Negate protections. And the next we have Bandung Duelist Tournament. We have first place here, Unchained. So Unchained with Fiendish Rhino Warrior, I think it's been a standard for a couple of months already. I think the Rhino Warrior is much more played than the Sangan version. Even though Sangan search you hand traps, I think the Rhino Warrior gives you more access towards the main combo line of this Unchained. That's why it is more played than the Sangan. And then next we have Dino once again. So Dino has been really relevant on the version of our metagame report right now. And the next we have Scareclaw. Yeah, Visa Scareclaw. So yeah, this deck is a mid-range deck on paper. By just looking at the space of this deck, you can tell that it is a mid-range deck. But it could really be a control deck on that manner, because you just sit on your tryhard and control the tempo of the game from going first. And the next we have Labyrinth here. It doesn't play the new card, the Rumple to Fall, because it is from October 20. But yeah, this plays the Dogmatika Punishment on the deck, because you have a lot of tools to dump on this list. We have the Garura, we have the Elder Entity Entities, and the Cyframe Lord Omega, and the Shuraig. So yeah, I could really think that this is a wise choice from this Jabi. And the next we have Ricky's Toys and Hobby Shop. We have Labyrinth here once again. It plays the Daruma Cannon on the main deck and the D-Barrier as usual. And also plays 3 copies of Nibiru. He stopped on playing Ash Blossom, maybe because Nibiru gives you more advantage on combo-ish decks. And Ash Blossom as well can be quite subpar on some matchups like Pendulum Magician. So yeah, this is really interesting from Enrico. And I wonder how Nibiru attributes to his success on this tournament, because he is named champion on this tournament. Maybe Nibiru really played a huge part on his success or good run on this tournament. And the next we have Fire King. So place the Ghost Bell on the main deck, which is understandable. They have Labyrinth on their locals. And also only 11 cards on the extra deck. It is really surprising that he managed to place runner-up on this tournament. And the next we have Sword Soul from Julio. We have two copies only of Virtuous Ecclesia. I am really surprised on seeing that. Maybe because he wants to play more Tenyis on this deck. It plays 3 copies of the Ashuna and 2 Adhara with 2 Vishuddha. But I don't think that this is the best version of Sword Soul right now. I think the branded Sword Soul is the better variant of Sword Soul right now to play. And the next we have Majespector. Wow, I think it's from before, yeah. If it is from October 19. So it doesn't contain the new support of Majespector. But yeah, he is able to tap using the Majespector, which is very surprising. Not many people can do this success from Rival. And also only 12 extra deck. I really wonder if this is a custom tournament, because their extra decks are lacking. And then next we have a card weekly tournament. At first here we have the Chimera with a lot of hand traps on the main deck. It plays the Gamma package with the Gamma and Delta. Yeah, Delta if I'm correct. And plays 3 talents on the main deck. So he really doesn't want to lose against Ash Blossom on this list, no? He wants to exploit the usage of Ash Blossom on his opponent's card using the talents here. And also on the side deck, it plays the Pankrataps, no? So most people doesn't play Pankrataps anymore because it's really slow when considering the fact that you have a lot of cards that can destroy your opponent's cards like Regeki. But the good thing on playing Pankrataps is it gives you much advantages on dealing against Floodgates, which is a very popular trend right now. Most purely players are playing Summon Limit, and Labyrinth players plays Power Sink Stone on the side deck. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are playing Floodgates right now on side deck. That's why I think Pankrataps can be a good option to nullify that. And the next we have Naturia Horus. So you just dump your Naturia cards using the Horus cards, and you get so much value from it. And yeah, I think this is a very solid list from Adam. And also it plays the Calamity as well So it does look like a budget version of Centurion right now, because Centurion is very expensive right now on the OCG, and I also think that this is a good way to replicate what Centurion is doing right now on the format. And it also plays the new Horus field spell, no, and Horus monster. So yeah, this is very interesting. And then next we have Nemo with branded. I think it's the same list from earlier, no, with just few adjustments because it's from the same local tournament. And then next we have Zukra. We have another Gold Pride. So it's been the list from earlier, no, I think. Yeah, another pang Gold Pride. So yeah, that sums up our local metagame report video of Uncrowned Kings right now. So if you have time, you can visit our Facebook page of Uncrowned Kings local metagame report video. You can drop a follow or like on this page. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something, and hit the subscription button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell for more updates. So see you on the next one. Peace.